Matt from the Manga Reloaded podcast, and this should be the first video in a long series of videos where I do manga recommendations. Because in about a week we should be recording our first video over the Shaman King manga, volumes 1 through 3. And I thought it'd be a good idea to put out a spoiler-free recommendation video for those who don't want spoilers but want to know why they should check out a series. So I'm not really going to do any summarization here. I'm not going to tell you anything that you can just find out by looking it up on Wikipedia. I'm just going to tell you what I got out of this manga. But before I do talk about that, in the case of Shaman King, I do think it's important to talk about where it stands relative to other battle shonen and why. Now, of the series I consider the big, 7 original Shonen Jump series, Shaman King is, easily the least popular, and the reasons for that are probably twofold. One, it honestly kind of had poor commercialization. To cut to the chase, the anime wasn't that good. It was dubbed by 4Kids, but the saddest part about that is it's actually considered one of 4Kids' better dubs. If not, Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Might be their best dub, but Shaman King is considered one of its more true to the original dubs, and that's because the original Japanese anime kind of didn't do justice to the original manga, because it tried to be more gag focused, and it kind of lacked the depth that the manga has, and some of a lot of the mature elements, and just a lot of stuff was removed, and it lost a lot of substance too, because it doesn't even follow the manga story after a point. The final battle flat out rips off Dragon Ball Z, where Yo, our main protagonist, basically yells out, "Everybody, give me your energy!" And I have no qualms about spoiling the Shaman King anime, because it sucks anyway. So, I don't recommend the anime, but the Shaman King manga is another story. Also, a lot of people have a hard time getting over the art style for the Shaman King manga. And I think it's because people misinterpret it to be kind of they don't think it's going to be a serious battle shonen because of the way it looks, but it's because Hiroyuki Takei was inspired by Osamu Tezuka, who his works can get quite dark, even if his characters are quite Disney-esque. I mean, anybody who's read Astro Boy, you know what I'm talking about. He's willing to go quite dark. And I would say Takei is not an exceptional, not quite as dark as Tezuka. And he also kind of designed Shaman King to be a little more Western, because the manga is about a big element of it is that there's kind of this multicultural, multi-religion thing going on, where it's kind of hard to explain, but pretty much all the religions are right, but none of them are 100% accurate. And honestly, this was one of the first manga that got me thinking about this idea of all the religions could get along. I really liked that. I mean, you see that in South Park, when Buddha and Jesus are just hanging out because they would get along. Well, it's kind of the same case in Shaman King. Buddha and Jesus, they get along. They don't hate each other, even though at one time the followers of those two religions did. So yeah, the manga is a little more serious and a little less gag focused. And as far as the ending goes, the ending of the manga is far more interesting, and I will not spoil that. But if nothing else, the Yo, our main protagonist, he's probably one of the most unique characters in Shonen Jump. He's definitely one of the wisest heroes I've read in a shonen battle manga. He's up there with Kenshin. I would say Kenshin's probably a little bit more wise, but a lot of that comes from age. But for being like 13, Yo is surprisingly intuitive. It's about time I get to the what I consider the big selling point about Shaman King, and I would say that's the lore. The big thing that separates Shaman King to me from other manga like it. For example, let's just say that out of the original, what I consider battle titles from Shonen Jump, like 3 of them are about ghosts: Yu Yu Hakusho, Bleach, and Shaman King. Shaman King is the only one where I feel like the ghosts and supernatural spirits aren't just there in the world for the characters to fight against and fight with. I mean, that does become kind of the big shtick for our main protagonist, because it still is a battle series, but in the world, people use the ghosts and make connections with the ghosts to do more than fight evil with it. So, for example, you got people that act as healers, and you've got, well, priests actually have some level of magical ability. They can kind of soothsay, and fortune telling is a thing in Shaman King. And I'll say this now, because though this could technically be considered a spoiler, a lot of people that read Shaman King miss this their first time reading it. Like, they read the line and they see it as kind of a throwaway line, but then it becomes super important later. So I'm just gonna say it right now. Big corporations will even hire shamans to help them make money, and this is even with the fact that shamanism is kind of a dying culture. Like, lots of people don't really believe that these people have mystical connections with the supernatural, that they see it as a big sham and a big fraud, because most people don't have that spiritual connection anymore that they used to. And another big thing, again, relating to this whole actually making the world believable to me, is that it's because it's not all following just the Shinto mythos that you see most of the time with these exorcism type mangas, where you have the main characters fighting against ghosts. Because it's incorporating elements from Hinduism and Buddhism and Christianity, it really helps kind of sell the world to me. And it in a strange way, I know that it's impossible for all the religions to be correct, and I'm not trying to be kind of like Pi from the Life of Pi, but I actually found Shaman King more realistic, because all of the religions had an effect on the world and not just one of them. And I really, really love the idea that in at least some small way, all of the religions are correct, though that is would be considered the most idyllic spiritual idea. It's obviously not possible, but it just makes a very charming and fun world to be in.